Greetings, this is Mr. Glenn of ACT Prep Chicago, with you again to complete a answer explanations for the practice ACTs that are online. This is digital, the new digital version of the first test, practice test one. So if you go to the website, it will be under test prep, and it says online. I think this is a test prep. Which link would it be to get to this page? Wait, first I want to make sure I'm on the right page. Yeah, this is the right page. So I think is it test prep? Yeah, you could get it from test prep, or maybe just free practice test. Yeah, free practice test. Um, and then so when you go to free practice test, you see the link I just went to, just so you see that. So free practice ACT practice test and prep. I click there. Now, if you want PDF versions of the same ones, you can get them here. This is test one, this is test two in PDF version. Or you can go to online practice test. That's where we went. You see, I clicked on online practice test. And you can do the online versions, which is what you'll see when you actually take the test. Okay. So we're working on math one. Now, we already did 1 through 20 in the previous video. So now we're going to do the remaining. I think it was 21 through. So I'm going to skip all of these that we did. That was 1 through 20. I think 20 was the last one we did. Yeah, 20 was the last one. Okay. And that's just how we do it. Okay, that's how we get to it. All right. In rectangle ABCD shown, segments BE and CE partition the rectangle into three triangles. Okay. So we got one triangle here, we got one here, and we got one here. Okay. Given DE equals 7, they got it marked off on the figure. BE is 26, marked off. And CE is 25. What is the length in centimeters of BC? Okay, well, I can tell you exactly what's happening here. This is using Pythagorean theorem. Okay. Um, so pencil over there. Okay, so this is utilizing Pythagorean theorem to do these problems. Okay, so. And how do I know that? Well, because you got a right triangle trigonometry. You got right triangle. So this is a right angle here. Okay. And you do what? You do right triangle trig. So you got and this is, let me see, where's my pencil? Highlighter. This is my right triangle, right? And how do I know that was the right angle? Because of the it says it's a rectangle, and rectangles have what? Rectangles have four right angles in the corners. So now I can apply my Pythagorean theorem because I got this could be A, this could be B, and this could be C. So I got Pythagorean theorem is A squared plus you use Pythagorean theorem whenever you're trying to get the missing side length of a right triangle. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. A is 7, so 7 squared plus B squared equals what? 25 squared. 7 squared is 49 plus B squared. 25 squared is 625. Um, so we subtract 49 from both sides, we'll get B squared is equal to, this is going to be 576. And we square root both sides to get B by itself. So that's going to be B is equal to 24. And again, you could always check if you're not sure. Um, well, that's 625 minus 49, 15. 9 is 6. 1, 11 minus 4 is 7, right? And then 1 we borrowed, right? And the square root of 576. You probably won't know that off the top of your head. I just know that specific triangle. But if we do square root of 576, that's your square root key, which your Desmos calculator 576. And they tell you 24 there. Okay. So that's that. So that means that this side is 24. Now, why is that helpful to us? Because now we can put that up there. So from there, from D to C is 24. We know that A to B is also 24, right? Okay, and then we could do the same thing with this right triangle, which is triangle EAB. So we would get what? We could get this side, which we call our A for this one, right? Um, right? So we know this B and C, so we could use the Pythagorean theorem again. We got A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We don't know A this time. B squared, B is the 24. C is always the hypotenuse along the side, which is 26 in this case. 26 squared. I know this because I know Pythagorean triples, but we do the work anyway. So that's 5. 24 squared is 576. 26 squared. I need a book calculator to help with that one. That I don't remember right now off the top of my head. Once I see it, I probably will do it. So what are we doing? We're doing 26 to the second power. Oh, they took away my okay. Square. And there you go, 676, okay? Whoops. Oh, that's what it did it because I hit that button. Okay, back that up. All right, so 670, whoops. So 676. Subtract 576 from both sides, we get A squared is equal to 100. To get A by itself, we square root it, we get A is equal to 10. Okay. Um, I wonder should I be showing those steps out? I'm assuming you guys know how to do that. Um, guess I could have showed that out, huh? Let's see. I think I skipped it before. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna start doing that. So we subtract 49 from both sides to get B by itself, right? And then you would get what? You would get B squared. I don't think I am gonna do that in the future. We get B squared equals 576. And then how do you get B by itself? You square root both sides to get rid of square, and you get what? You get B is equal to 24. And you do the same thing here. I'm just doing it the way I did it. A squared is equal to 100. I subtracted 576 from both sides to get it by itself, to get rid of 576. To get rid of square, you square root both sides. The square root of 100 is 10. So then that means that this A is 10, which now means that we got from A to E, which is 10, plus E to D is 7, and that's the length of BC, right? So, um, so it's 10. This is step one, this is step two, this is step three. So to get what? I guess I can notate it too so you can see that. So to get A to E, B to C. So B to C, if you look on the other side, the same thing as what? A to E plus E to D, right? Because from B to C, it's a rectangle, opposite sides are congruent, right? So this B to C is the same thing as if we add A to E plus E to D. And we know A to E now is 10 plus E to D is 7. So that means BC is equal to 17, which would be choice C. Okay. In a particular cleaning solution, the ratio of concentrated solution to water is 3 to 40. So let's make sure we see so that's ratio of clean, concentrated solution. This is the solution 33, and to water is 40. So within this, and they're not telling you this in the problem, the total would be what? 43, right? That would be total. So your parts would be solution would be 3, water would be 40, total would be 43 because you put in solution and water to make your cleaning solution. How many cups of concentrated solution should be added to 5 gallons of water to make the cleaning solution in the given ratio? So how many cups of concentrated solution should be added to 5 gallons of water? So basically, if we do what? Well, we turn gallons to cups, huh? Is that what we do? Or we could get the original equation in gallons. I think that's what they want, and then turn it to cups at the end. Let's just turn the gallons to cups. How many cups should be added to how many? Since this is cups, cups are concentrated gallons of water. Let's just make the water also cups. So that's what we do first. So we'll do 5 gallons is equal to what? 20 quarts, right? Because they say 1 gallon is 4 quarts. And then 20 quarts will equal 80 cups because they said what? 1 quart is equal to 4 cups. So basically, this is going to be what? 80 cups. So how many cups of concentrated solution should be added to 80 cups of water to make the cleaning solution in the given ratio? So we have water, which is 80 cups. We want to know what should our solution be such that the total will be 43. Okay, let me think about this. Solution. So solution. Oh, I could use the same thing ratio. So solution, which is 3 to water, is 3 to 40. And then right. Oh, that's easy. So if we do solution to water is 3 to 40, if we have 80 cups of water, then how many cups of solution? Well, that'd just be 6, right? Because you can see that we did what? We did times what? Times 2. So the answer is B, 6. Okay. Key to that was you had to do what? You had to do a you had to do a unit conversion, so they're in the same units. If you didn't, then it would have been a little bit confusing. All right. Wait a minute, did I do that right? Because they asked for how many cups of, yeah, how many cups, right? So it was 6 cups. Yeah. Had you just kept it in gallons, never changed it to gallons, your answer when you set up your proportion, if you did 3 to something equals 40 to 5, it would have been 3/8, but that would have been 3/8 gallons. You had to turn 3/8 gallons into cups. So it was easier by what? Turning the gallons to cups initially, then on the back end. All right. Which of the following numbers is closer to the value of f of 5? That's just simply plugging in what? 5 is your input. They say your input variable is t. So we just replace the what? The t with 5. Simple enough. The key to this one is probably going to be calculator use with that e, right? All right, but let's just write it out first. So f of 5 will be 7e 3 times 5 plus 1. So that's going to be 7e to the 15th plus 1. Let's see if we can put this in decimals. I think we can, maybe. All right, let's get our calculator up. So we got, yeah, I'm not even seeing e to the value unless we just use that e. Oh, there it is, probably under functions. Under functions. So this is just a matter of knowing how to use the calculator. I know most calculators, there's something missing. Did I overlook it? No, it's not that one. Or is it? Might be that one. Usually it's in there with the exponents. That's squared, that's b. Might be exponential. I'm gonna try with my calculator. I'm gonna do it too. So you got 7. Let's do exponential because that's the opposite of logarithm. So it's in the right spot. E exponential to the what? Let's do 15 plus 1. So it looks like 22,883,122, which is this one. Yeah, so it's 2, and then you do what? 1, 2, 3. So if you put the decimal point here, move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so that's about 2 times 10 to the 7. Okay, so you learn a couple of things. To do the E in here, you had to go to functions, and then you scroll all the way down to exponential, because that's E. It goes with log, right? You actually do ln to cancel out E. So that's your E. Um, Let me check my calculator too. Uh, I think that's right though, because that is one of the answer choices too. Uh, Just check my cell phone calculator because they can do this now. They got these scientific calculators on cell phones. I don't have my graphing calculator out. Yeah, there's E right there on this calculator. It's amazing that they have in that form. Okay. So it was 7 times, and I'm gonna do E. Let's do, no, not times. E to the 15th. There we go. E to the 15th. Then I gotta come out of there. Log A is plus 1. Yeah, that was right. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, same thing. Okay. All right, so it's a good thing I am doing the digital because that gives you a chance to see how to use the digital calculator to do these E functions. So again, that answer is C. All right, let's reduce the calculator. Let's close that out. Which of the following expresses 40 degrees in radians? So this one you need background knowledge to convert from degrees to what? To radians. We do what? We just basically multiplying it times pi over 180, right? So we do 40 degrees times what? Pi over 180 degrees. And the way I know that, I just keep my degrees diagonal because I want pi to be my answer. If you were going the other way, radians to degrees, you multiply by 180 over pi. But we're not doing that now. So we got 40 pi over 180. You can always, whenever you can divide both by 10, that's the same thing as crossing out the 0 at the end. So that would reduce that to 4 pi over 18. So ugly pi symbol. Divide both of those by 2, we get 2 pi over 9. We're just putting the fraction in simplest form. So here we divided the numerator and denominator by 10. Here we divide the numerator and denominator by 2. The answer is B. Oh, I don't circle it. I forgot I'm doing this with the digital version. So this PDF, I usually circle in answers. All right, let the function f be defined as f of x equals negative 9x squared. It's a quadratic and it's pointing down. How do we know that? Because the negative in front of it means pointing down. In the standard coordinate plane, the graph of y equals f of x undergoes a transformation such that the result is the graph of, so we're shifting down 4. That's all this means. It takes the f of x function here, this quadratic, and we shift it down 4 units. The vertical shifts are always on the outside. Horizontal shifts on the inside with the opposite sign. So under this transformation, the graph of blank is shifted downward 4 coordinate, to shift it downward 4 coordinate units. That's all that is. For all positive values of a, b, c, and d, when 1/2 ab squared plus c equals d, which of the following expressions is equal to B? This is solving a literal equation, essentially, or solving for a variable. They had this practice on Khan Academy too. I can't remember the name of it. They don't call it literal, solving literal equations. call it something like, I can't remember. It's in the SAT package. It took me a while to find it because um, they didn't name it solving little equations. I think they named it something like manipulate. I can't remember. Anyway, they got some good practice on some of these. So how do we get B by itself is essentially what we're trying to do. So first, we get rid of its farthest away from B, which is the C. So we're going to subtract C from both sides. Now we get what? So we get 1/2 AB squared is equal to D minus C. We want to multiply both sides by 2. Okay. That's 2 times 1/2 cancels. We do one side, we do to the other. Okay, well that's going to give us, looking at my answer choices, it looks like they didn't. So we got AB squared is equal to, I'm just going to put the 2D minus C because when you multiply, you put it in your order. And I see that for one of them, they left the 2 on the outside. They didn't distribute it to both. Because I could do 2D with minus 2T, but I see it's probably B. I can tell it's probably B right now just by looking at that. Yeah, because how do we get rid of A times B squared divided by A, both sides by A? We get what? We get B squared is equal to 2 times the quantity D minus C over A. And how do we get rid of B squared? How do you get the square? You square root both sides. That would give us B would be equal to this whole thing, which is the quantity 2 D minus C over A square root. That's what I thought that was. So that's going to be B. That's important. Okay, always nice to have one that's not too challenging. My students say all the time, say, well, they're not going to ask you what's easy or not, so it really doesn't matter. All right, on a trip, two sisters counted 1430 vehicles. They divided I think this is two-way table, right? Because you got totals for color and you got totals for type of vehicle. They divide the vehicles into categories, cars, trucks, and other. And they note the color of each as white, black, red, or other, as shown in the table. What is the probability that a running selected truck is black? So remember, probability is always what we want over the total. So the probability is black over total. So how many black cars do we have? We go to black, we go straight down. We got what? 178 black cars out of a total of what? 1430. And that's it. Um, but that answer isn't there, so that means we're gonna have to reduce, right? That's all that means. Doesn't mean we're wrong. I was just checking because sometimes when the answer's not there, you want to think that you're doing wrong, and a lot of times you probably are. But uh, so what is divisible 1478? So we got to do some work with this. So we know both are divisible by 2. So I'm going to do what is 178 divided by 2? That's going to be 89. And then 1430 divided by 2. That's going to be 715. So, and that's going to be what, 56, 89 over 715. Okay, that's not there though. But we'll still write the next step down. So we got 89 over 715. Hmm. All right, looks like I may have done something wrong. On the trip, two sisters, they counted 1430 vehicles. They divided the vehicles because they know the color of each. What's the probability that a randomly selected? Oh, I missed that. Glad they didn't put this answer on there. Sorry, guys, but I'm doing these real time. These aren't rehearsed, so what was my mistake? Let's say, what is the probability that a randomly selected truck? So this is called conditional probability, right? So we're only picking among the trucks. not all the vehicles. I did the probability based on a black vehicle for all the vehicles. This says if what the probability that they randomly select a truck, that means they reduced the total sample space from 1430 all vehicles to 479 trucks only. So out of all the trucks, right? Out of all the trucks, what's the probability of it being black? So the total number of trucks is 479. And the number of black trucks is 31. And that's your answer. So it's conditional probability. I did not pay attention to details, and thus I missed the conditions. Don't do like me. Do like me the second time. But it helped that they didn't have the incorrect answer. Sometimes the test writers are really skilled at seeing how people might not pay attention to this one. They could have probably put that answer because that would probably been a common mistake that I just made with a lot of students, but they chose not to. So I guess they were not being so harsh. So that they didn't put that answer, that was the probability of getting black for all trucks. So that gave students a chance to say, I'm not finding my answer. What did I do wrong? Just like we did make self-question. All right, a regular hexagon is inscribed in a circle with diameter 18 inches shown with the perimeter. Okay, these are a little tougher. So first of all, it's a regular hexagon. That means that what all sides are the same. And we can break it down to radius too. And that'll be every angle is 60 degrees. I don't know if I'm gonna show you that there. Let's see what we need though. So if the circle has a diameter of 18, we can start there. That means from your center, right, through the center, you look here, that's the diameter, right? So the whole thing is 18, which means the radius, oh, they're showing you there. Never mind. I was showing you on the side, but the radius could be 9 for each side. And so that means if I could draw these radius, if I want, right, to the radius is from the center to a point on the circle, which also happens to be a vertex of the hexagon. So all of these are also what? 9. And all of these triangles, because it's a regular, that's how we knew. Well, all these are radius at 9. So this is regular. We know that these hexagon and it's regular, all of these angles are gonna be the same. So in the middle of the circle is 60, 360. So it's this is gonna be 60 degrees there. This angle is gonna be 60. This is gonna be 60. This is gonna be 60, and this is gonna be 60. Okay, so and then if we take these triangles, right? So if we take one of the triangles, we'll take the one on the top if we want, just so you can see. We'll pull it out. So if we pull out one of the triangles, we know we got a 60-degree angle here, and we know we got two sides, both 9. So if two sides are equal, that means the two opposite angles are equal, right? So that's the triangle theorem. So if that means this and this are going to be equal, right? And so if one of the angles is 60, then we do what? 180 is the full circle. 180 minus 60 is 120. You split 120 two ways, and it's 60. So that means these are also 60, which I kind of knew. So these are equilateral triangles, which also means that this side is 9. Okay, so hopefully I didn't go too fast. So I took out one of these triangles. The radius was 9 here. The radius was 9 there. I told you that the full circle is 360, but because this is a regular hexagon, all these angles are going to be equal when you break it into parts. So all of these are going to be 60 because if it's 6 angles in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 360 divided by 6 will be 60 for each anterior angle. And once you do that, then if this is 60 and the two sides of the triangle 9, the two opposite sides, that's isosceles, which means the base angles, the sides opposite the angles will also be the same. So if one of my angles of a triangle is 60, I'm going to do the triangle sum, the triangle adds to 180. I'll do 180 minus one of the angles is 60, so I'm left with what? 120 for the remaining what? for the remaining two angles, right? So 180 minus 60. So it's 120 for two angles. I got to split that into two. So I divide by two. That's how I get 60 for each angle. So when they then if all of them are 60, that means it's a what? Equilateral triangle. Because all angles, if all angles of a triangle are the same, this is a regular triangle, which also means it's equilateral, which means each side is the same. If two are nine, this is nine. So that means that one side of my, and it's a regular hexagon, that means all sides are the same. So all of these are nine, right? And we want the perimeter of the hexagon. 9 times 6 is 54. That's going to be A. So this just requires a lot of what? A lot of knowledge of this kind of situation. I've seen it before, so that's why it's not too bad. Tanya earns 34,000 her first year at a job. She's given a raise of the same dollar amount each year. Didn't tell us what it is, resulting in her earning $38,080 in the fourth year at the job. So every year she get an increase the same. That's a linear, right? She got an increase by the same dollar amount. What is the total of Tanya's earnings during her 4 years at the job? So this is the sum of an arithmetic sequence. But if you know that formula, you can use it, but you don't even have to with this one because it's pretty simple. All right, so you get the difference between the two. So I'm going to do 38,080 minus what? Minus 34,000, right? And so that's going to give me 0.804. So 4,080 um, after the fourth year. So how many differences is that? That's only going to be three differences, right? So because you go what? So it was the first year was 34,000. That's year one. Then you had second year, whatever that was. Then you had what? Third year, whatever that is. And then you got what? Fourth year. And the fourth year was 38,080, right? So, but that's only three. If you think about it, that's only what? Three increases. So that's from here to here, that's one increase. That's from second to third, that's two. And from third to fourth, that's three. So it's only three increases, and the increases are of equal value, right? So we add whatever the value is, whatever the value is. So that's what? That's three equal increases. So all we're going to do is the total increase was 480. So all we're going to do is we're going to do what? 4,080 divided by 3, right? And um wait, right. That's going to give us our increase every year. Um so 480, 40, 80 divided by 3. Use a calculator for that. 480 divided by 3. Is that that's 1360? I think that's right. Yeah, 1360. Yeah. So that means the increase every year is 1,300 and what? $60 is the yearly increase. So that means we can get these other amounts. So 34,000 plus 1,360 would be 0.635. So that'd be 35,360. And then another 1360 to that would be 0.2 1, that'd be 7, because 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7, and that'd be 36. So that'd be 36,720. And then if you added 1360 to that, just to check, you would get 0. 6 plus 2 is 8. 7 plus 3 is 10. That's where you get 0, 1. 6 plus 1 is 7 plus 1 is 8. That would be 38, right? We're just checking it out. All right, so the increase every year is that plus 1360, right? Plus 1360 plus 1360, right? Same increase every year. All right, and now we just simply what? What is the total of her earnings in her 4 years at the job? Then you just add these numbers up. Okay, so I like how I can see it. If you were doing this test, I don't know if you could see it, but so 34, whoops. So we got 34,000 plus 35,360 plus 36,720. And then lastly, plus 38,080. That'll be 144,160, which is C. In the standard XY coordinate plane, how many points are both 5 coordinate units from the origin and also 2 coordinate units from the line y equals 0? So this, you may have to do a visual for this one. That's what I would need to do as I read it. So we get a standard XY plane, y-axis, x-axis, and how many points are both? They're going to be both 5 units from the origin. So you could be on the x-axis. You could do what? 5 from that's 5 on the x on the y-axis. All of these are what? A distance of 5 units from the origin. But then you also have circles. So if you have a circle, right? So basically it's a circle, because if the center from here is 5, right? So basically you're talking about a circle with a radius of 5, right? That's all you're really doing, right? Because that's the set of all points that are 5 units from the surface, from the center, right? From the origin. So this is circle with radius what? So this is radius is 5. And also 2 coordinate units from the line y equals 0. So the line y equals 0 is the x-axis, because every y coordinate on this line is 0. And we want basically any points that are on the circle and 2 units from the line y equals 0. So I think that's pretty easy. You're just looking for, right? So like here might be like, I'm just guessing, but like here, right? Because this might be a distance. Distance to the axis is right here. So this might be 2, if this is 2, right? From here to here. And then it's also, this point is 2 units from the origin. No, it's 5 units from the origin from here to here, but also 2 units from the line y equals 0, the x-axis. And you can do that 4 times. You can do it here. This might be a what, 2. Then you can do it there, and then you can do it there. So it's going to be 4 points. That should be D. Because all of those points are on the circle, meaning that means they're 5 units from the origin, and you could draw them such that they're 2 units from the x-axis. All right, that's 4. Okay. In triangle ABC, if the measure of angle A is less than the measure of angle B, and the measure of angle B is less than the measure of C, what's the correct ordering of the side lengths from least to greatest? You would greatly benefit from this by drawing a diagram. Oh, you know what? I should look at the answer choice just to make sure for the last one. I'm pretty sure about that one, but just to make sure. So that one is 30. That's number four. I had the answer key pulled up because if you had a PDF, the answer key would be put up. So number 30, that was four, that was J. Yeah, this is the math answers. Okay. All right. So we got to draw a triangle. A is less than the measure B, and B is less than the measure of C. So let's see if we can draw a diagram like that. So we want to draw one with a big angle, like obtuse angle, like C. That's obtuse angle. And then we want to draw one where maybe something like this. Okay. So this is the smallest one. You see it opens up the smallest. This would be A, right? Then B would be the next smallest. A look like 15, B look like it would be 30 or 40. And then C is obtuse, so this would be C. So yeah, I got a triangle where angle A is less than angle B and B is less than C. What's the correct ordering of the side lengths? So side lengths go opposite the bigger angle. So angle is C. So the smallest side length would be BC because that's opposite side A. You follow? So BC would be the smallest side length or shortest side length. Then angle B is the middle angle. Side opposite A angle B is AC, so that would be the middle. And then angle C is the largest, so side opposite angle C is AB. So that's how it should be. So BC is first, AC is second, AB is third. C. Easy question if you write it out and you draw it to scale, but hard question if you try to do it all in your mind. Lawan sells exactly four kinds of pies in his bakery: apple, pecan, coconut cream, and peach. True, sounds good. Of the pies he sold on Thursday, one-fourth were apple, one half were pecan, 24 were coconut, and 8 were peach. How many total pies did Lawan sell on Thursday? Okay, let's figure out Lawan. So we know so far he sold, first we know 24 were what? Were coconut cream plus 8 were peach. Coconut cream and peach. So that's 32 so pies so far, right? And then I could use my answer choice in there, probably some algebra. And then a fourth were apple. So if we do so if X is the total number of pies, if we do a fourth times the total, we let total be T, that's going to be apple plus what? A half times the same what? T, would be pecan. Four kinds of pies. How many total pies did Lamont sell on Thursday? Oh, and then that would give you, that should give you T. And that's your algebra equation because that's the total number of pi, T total amount. So if you take a fourth of the T, half of the T, and then you do that, you should get T. So now we got an equation we can solve. Okay, that works. You could use the answer choices too, like if you do 56, then you do a fourth of 56, half of 56, add together, you should get 56, right? So you could use the answer choices too, right? Just plug them in, right? Let's say you said 40, so a fourth of 40 is 10. And then automatically that won't work because 24 plus 8 is 32 plus 10 would be 42. But you're saying 40 is your total, so that wouldn't work. So you're looking to plug in your total to each one of these. And then when you add all these up, it should equal the same total that you plugged in, essentially. But algebraically, it's better, faster if you know how to write the equation, which we have now. So we have 32 plus 1/4 plus 1/2 is 3/4 t, should equal t. And then I'm going to do what? I'm going to subtract 3/4 t from both sides. I get what? I get 32 is equal to t minus 3/4 t would be 1/4 t. Then I do what? The times both sides by 4. And I get what? That's going to cancel. I get t is equal to 128. Yeah. So hopefully you got that. T is equal to 128. Very good. In a certain quadrilateral, two opposite angles each measure 3x plus 5. Certain quadrilateral, two opposite angles. So in a quadrilateral, opposite angles are congruent. So if they each measure 3x plus 5, well, we know that. The other two opposite angles measure x plus 3. What is the value of x? Well, you just got to know background information, which is that what? A quadrilateral will add to 360, right? Quadrilateral adds to 360. So two opposite angles each measure. So it should be what? And one angle, which is 3x plus 5, plus the other 3x plus 5, plus the what? X plus 3, plus the other x plus 3 should equal 360 degrees, because the degrees of a quadrilateral adds up to 360. So now it's just algebra. So 3x plus 3x is 6x plus 2x is 8x. 5, 10, 5 plus 5 is 10, 10 plus 3 is 13, plus 3 is 16, equals 360. We're going to subtract 16 from both sides. 8x is equal to 344. We're going to divide 8 by both sides. What is 344 divided by 8? I probably could have did it in my mind just quicker than that, but let's do it anyway. So 344 divided by 8, that is 43. All right, and that's our x value, but that's not necessarily what we want. What is the, oh, we want the value of x, yes, 43. Okay, that is what we want. So you had to know that quadrilateral adds to 360. All right, the first four terms of a sequence are shown in the table. The sequence is defined by a sub 1 equals 2. That's the first term of the sequence. And a sub n, every term of the sequence, is n minus 1 to the second power for n is greater than or equal to 2. So you gotta do past 2. So the second term you gotta figure out, and then, oh no, you can use 2, but you can't put 1 in. Okay, what is the sixth term? A6 of the sequence. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the value of the table actually. Sequence is defined a sub 1 and a sub any term in the sequence. So if we want a sub 6, we need what? Oh, it's recursive because you got to use the previous term. You can't just put any term in. A n minus 1, which means we need the fifth term plus 6 minus 1 squared. That's how we would get a sub 6, right? So that would means we need the fifth term, which means we got to use the fourth term, right? So this is where we want to be. But first, we're going to have to use the fourth term. So we're going to do a sub 5 is equal to a sub 4 plus 5 minus 1 squared. A sub 4 we have is 16. So 16 plus 4 squared. 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 to the second power is 16. So a sub 5 is going to equal 32. You could use it with the other one too. A sub 4 would be 7 plus 7 minus 1 is 6 squared, which is 30. What? Did I do something wrong? I just want to see something. So how did we get, I'm just checking if we were doing a sub 4. A sub 4 should be a sub 3 plus 4, oh, 4 minus 1. How about that? So a sub 3 was 7. I'm just checking plus 4 minus 1 is 3 squared is 9, which would be equal to 16, which is what we have on a sub 4. Okay, we're just checking the formula. All right, so a sub 5 is 32, so now we put it in. So a sub 6 is equal to 32 plus 6 minus 1 is 5 squared, which is 25. So a sub 6 is equal to 57b. On the real number line, how many integers are between negative 65, 6 and 75 over 2? So first we need to turn these. You can turn them into decimals or you can turn them into mixed numbers, whatever. I'm going to turn them into mixed numbers. So 6, how many times 6 going to 65? That's 10 with a remainder of 5 over 6, right? That's right. 10 times 6 is 60 plus 5 is 65, 65 over 6. And 75 over 2 is what's 74 is the closest one. What's half of 74? 37. It's gonna be 37, right? And 1/2. That's 37 times 2, 74. 2 times 7 is 14, put a 1. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7, right? So 37.5, 37.5, right? 75 over 2, 37.5. So how many integers are between these? Integers are what? Wholes. They could be whole, negative, or positive. So we had a number line, right? And we had 37.5. Well, we know that's 1 by what? 37, right? Well, not 1 by half times 37. And if we had on this side, we have what? This is negative 10, 5, 6. So the integer just to the right of that is negative 10, right? So basically, how many integers are from negative 10 to 37? That's going to be actually 48. So if you do 37 minus negative 10, that's 40, that's 47. But when you subtract, you see how far it is from here to here, but you still have to add the 1 because you're including negative 10 and 37 in that count. So it's actually 48 integers. That's going to be C. So whenever you see how many integers from one number to another, once you subtract, you have to add on another one because subtraction gives you the difference. If I do negative 10, 37 minus negative 10, I'll start with what? 1, 2, right? I'm not really counting 37. It's my movements to get to negative 10. That's 47 movements. But if I count the integers, my starting point also, that would be 48. But you don't do that when you subtract. You don't count 1. You count 1 after you move. But when you see how many numbers it is, you do count 1. So that's where you 48. Hopefully you guys get that explanation. And I think this is probably the last one, is it? Let's see. They don't tell me. I thought they told you. See index. This ain't the last one? Oh man. I thought I had gotten up to halfway. I guess I didn't. There might be 3 videos with this one. We'll see if I'm gonna be able to. I think I'll be able to finish this out. I don't know. I was thinking it was 36. Was it 36? Oh, 36 reading. 45 math. Eesh. Brr. Another 9. Okay, let's see if we can knock them out. During a particular experiment, 2 events, A and B, can each occur. Events A and B are mutually exclusive during this experiment, which the following probabilities is 0. So if they are mutually exclusive, that means they have nothing in common or overlap, which is B. D, I'm sorry. Right? Mutually exclusive means they don't have anything in common. A and B means intersect. It's what they have in common. Mutually exclusive means they don't have anything in common. All right, so that's just really a vocabulary lesson. What does mutually exclusive mean? Polynomial function defined by blah, blah, blah. As x minus 3 is one of its linear factors, which means it's also one of your solutions. What are all and only the zeros of P? So for this one, you actually could graph it and it might be easier because the zeros are the x-intercepts. So you can go to your Desmos calculator and you'd have to put this function in. So you do what? X to the what? to the third power. So is your exponential button. This is a function. How do you get exponent? It's just a general exponent. Let me see. I know how to do exponents on. I don't see how to do it here. Oh, there it is. No, that's well, I don't see exponents on here, but I know how to do it. You just do the shift and then you do 6. That'll give you exponents. So x to the third, right? Put my arrow over. Then plus, let's see, x squared. I'm trying to see this thing because plus x squared. X, this is square here. I don't have to do that. Then what? Let's see. Now we got minus 8x minus 12. Minus 8x minus 12. All right. And so you see it gives you your zeros here, -2, and here 3. -2 and 3. So I see. Because um, the zeros are the x-intercepts. So Desmos calculator, if you know how to use that, that makes that part really easy. All right, Jonathan rode his bike every day for 18 days. The table shows each of distance throughout the average. The table also shows the number of days he rode each of those distances. What is the median daily distance in miles that Jonathan rode for his bike for 18 days? Median is your middle number when you order from least to greatest. They're already ordered because 2 days you drew 1 mile. So the long way to do this is to write out, 18 days. I'll write it out just so you can see. So on 2 of the days he rode 1 mile, so that's 2 ones. And on 4 of the days he rode 3 miles, so we got what? 3 fours, right? And you just write them out. Now, the easy way, if I look at it, if it's the median for 18 days, obviously it's more numbers, 18 days. If I split 18 up, I get 9 and 9, right? So I don't have a middle number, right? So I get 9 on the left, 9 on the right, right? So I don't have a middle number, right? I got 9 values on the left and 9 values on the right. But to get that middle number, I take the what? The ninth and 10th value, and I get the what? I get the average. Since I don't have a middle number. If it were 19 numbers, I know it would be the 10th value would be in the middle because I have 9 on the left, 9 on the right. So just pick the middle value. That's the median is picking out the middle value. But because it's 18 days, that's an even number of days. It doesn't have a middle value. You get the average of the what? The two middle values, which is are the ninth and 10th values. So the ninth value was just 4, 6. The ninth value is at a distance of 4, right? Because it was 2, 4, 3. 2, 4 is 6 plus 3 is 9. So the ninth value, you wrote it 4. The 10th value, you wrote it 5. Right? On the 10th day, you wrote 5. Well, no. 10th value was 5. We don't know what day it was, but anyway, because you order from least to greatest. So with the average of 4 and 5, you would do what? 4 plus 5 divided by 2, which is 4.5. So that I think that's going to be choice D. Yeah, that's going to be D. A tourist organization randomly selected 100 tourists finishing their summer visit to Spain. The organization asked how many cities they had toured in this country. The table shows the results based on these data for the population of tourists that visited Spain during this summer. What is the best estimate of the mean number of cities toured? A tourist organization randomly selected 100 tourists. Okay, so number of tourists, so how many cities they had toured in the country. So 10 people toured one city, 40 people toured two cities, and 50 people toured three. Based on these data, for the population tourists that visit Spain, what is the best estimate of the mean number of cities toured? Mean number of cities toured. So this is a weighted average, right? Mean is average, and it's a weighted average. So mean number of city tours. So you had 10, 80, 150. Because it says cities tour. Mean is the best estimate of the mean number of cities toured. Because if 40 people visit two cities, that's two. For those 40, that's 80 total cities toured. Okay, and then you add that up. 90 plus 50 is 240. And then you divide that by, so you got 240 cities toured divided by 100 people who toured them. That's the mean number of cities toured, would be 2.4. So 2.4 cities is what the average tourist did. Let me see. I feel like I've done these before. I think I may have some students with these in the past. Given the equation, the fourth, oh no, I think I did this test to see how hard it was. The fourth root of x equals y, where y is a real number, what must be true of x? X is an even real number. That's not true. It could be odd. You got fourth root of odd. Rational number, that's not true. It could be a decimal. Integer, that's not true. There has to be a, no, you can do non-negative. No, you can't do non-negatives for that, right? It has to be a non-negative real number. Because with that even root, the fourth root, that's the even root. So you're not going to be able to do it. For instance, if you did the fourth root of 16, it would have to be what? Be plus or minus 2, right? Because you do, so it could be positive 2 or it could be what? Negative 2. Because if you do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, you get what? 16. If you do negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, you also get what? 16. But you can't get negative 16 by multiplying the same number by itself 4 times. So that means that uh, x would have to be a non-negative number. I mean, it can't be negative, it has to be positive for you to be able to evaluate it. Otherwise, it would be an imaginary number. Given that, I like to read that M is between 1 and 4, inclusive of 1 and 4. N is between 4 and 6. P is between 8 and 10. What's the greatest possible value for M over N, 1 over P? Let's do the fractions by themselves first. So if we want the greatest value of a fraction, we want a small denominator. So let's look at P first. So we want P to be small. That's going to make it big. If P is big, bigger P is, the bigger your denominator, the smaller your fraction value. So P is small. So smallest P can be, P smallest is equal to 8. All right. Same with these. We want the, for this, we want the what? Largest M, because the bigger the numerator, the bigger the fraction, and we want the what? Smallest N, because the smaller the numerator, the bigger the value. So the largest M would be 4. Because he says M is between 1 and 4 inclusive, which is equal, and the smallest N is 4. Okay, so basically we have what? If we plug those in, we got 4 over 4 times 1 over 8, which would just equal 1/8. Okay, hopefully you got that. Which of the following data sets has the largest standard deviation? Standard deviation is just how far things are spread from the middle. So you want things that are spread far, not clustered. A looks like a good choice. B looks good, but A is better because you see the 0, 0 is zero, the second value. The zero is farther from what would be the middle, because 0, 0, 10, 10, the middle would be 5. Zero is farther from the middle than one is. Again, and 10 is farther from the middle than nine is. So the greater the distance from the middle, the higher the standard deviation, right? This is definitely not it, and definitely not this, because they're all five. There's no deviation from the middle. Middle would be five of all fives. That's standard deviation of zero. This standard deviation is not as high either because these values are close to the center, which would be about what? Four? Looks like four is the center, or right, of all the values. So it's closer. So it's definitely A. Standard deviation is how far things are from the middle or median. Michael has a cylindrical fish tank shown that has an inside diameter of 18 inches. When he put colored gravel in his fish tank, it's a colored gravel here, the water level of the tank rose 2 inches. What's the volume of the gravel in cubic inches? So if the water level rose 2 inches when he put the gravel in, we assume that the height of the gravel is 2. And we want the volume of the gravel, and the gravel is actually a what? The gravel is a cylinder. And the volume of a cylinder, you would need to know this. Volume would equal pi r squared times your height. So this is just background you got to know. So pi, the radius of that cylinder is not 18. That's the diameter. So the radius is 9 squared. And the height we said was 2 inches because that's what the water level rose. We get 81, and that's where it's 81 times 2 would be 8162. So 162 pi inches will be the, in cubic inches, it would be the level of it would be the volume of the gravel. So that'd be C. The table gives the values of f of x, g of x, and h of x for all positive integers, where x is less than or equal to 5. Positive integers, right? All right. Given that h of g of a is equal to 1, where a is a positive integer less than less than or equal to 5. So a is one of these values, right? For x, what is the value of a? So you got to work backwards. The answer is 1. So when we do h of something, we get 1, right? Outside function is the last one. So h of what value would give you 1? Well, here's 1 on the h. That means that the input had to be 2. You follow? Which would be the answer also of f of g of a. So hopefully you got that. So h of some value, we don't know, is equal to 1. Well, that value is 2 because the answer of h when the input was 2 to give you a value of 1. This is also going to be equal to the inner value. So we could take the inner piece, which is f of g of a, and we know that's equal to 2 because that was the input of the initial function. So we're going to use the f for that one. So look at the f function, and when was it equal to 2? Well, it's equal to 2 here, which means your input had to be 1. So that means that um, this input had to be 1. So that means that, well, let's see. So we say f of what will equal 2. So the question mark will be equal to 1. Therefore, we would know that what g of a had to be equal to 1. So we look at the g function now, and it was equal to 1 here. And what was the input? The input was 5. So g of what equals 1? That what is 5. So that's D. That is D. That's a lot of work on that one. And each coin C each time coin C, this is the last one, okay. Each time coin C is tossed, it lands face up or face down. Probability of landing face up is three times the probability of landing face down. So toss coin C, it lands either up or down. The probability of landing face up is three times the probability of landing face down. Now, why would that be the case? That don't sound like no fair coin. Because usually you would think the probability of tossing a coin would be equal for face up or face down. And in certain games, the player wins $1 when coin C lands face up, and the player wins $2 when coin C lands face down, which makes sense. You're going to pay out more for the less likely outcome. To the nearest cent was the expected value of each toss of coin C in this game. I think expected value is I think you just got to do, I can't remember. I remember this equation. I had to look it up. But the probability of landing face up is three times the probability of it landing face down. So I guess that would be, I guess so if it's up would be three, down would be one. That's a probability of three to one ratio. So that means if the probability, that would be 3 to 4, because total was 4, right? So 3 out of 4 probability landing up and 1 out of 4 probability landing down. Hope you guys see that. So those are my probabilities. Probability of landing up is 3 out of 4. 5, 4 outcomes. Three, because that would mean the probability would be three times up. So because 1/4 times 3 would be 3/4. That's what I just did. So then the probability is 3/4. I think the probability times the expected value. So 3/4 times the weight, which is the player C face up, which is 1, and then plus 1/4 times it facing down, which is 2. So it'd be 3/4 plus 2/4, which is 1/2, which would equal 1.25. That's expected value. I think it's A. So you got to get your probabilities times your weights. So this has 3/4 probability, and you get $1 for 3/4. 1/4 probability, you get $2. So that's how you do that. Let me make sure that answer is correct. I think that's right. Because then that makes sense if you think about it. That's the expected value. They want us to end the test. I'm not going to end it. Just want you to see. Okay. Let's check that answer. So that's item 45. 45 is A, yeah. Because if you think about what does expected value mean, it means what was the expected value of each toss? When you toss a coin, what do you expect it to get? Well, you know it's going to land either heads up or head down, but it's a much higher probability to land heads up because it's three times. So you're more likely to get a $1 payout than a $2 payout. But because it can still land face down, the expected value is going to be a little bit higher than a dollar. So 125 makes sense because $1.25 is closer to a dollar, but still over a dollar because you got to factor in, well, what if it lands face down and you get that $2 payout? Okay. All right, guys. Well, hopefully this helps you guys. And yeah, I'll try to do another video with the other sections. I usually start with the math just because it's typically the one that students need the most help on. All right, hopefully this helped. Thank you.